Hello everyone and welcome to WCI Consulting's webinar series. Today we'll be going over visual intelligence. We hope to give this a good introduction to you, and if you have any questions, feel free to use the right-hand side panel. I always like to start off our webinars with our mission statement, let you know where we're coming from as a partner and not necessarily as a customer relationship. The more you succeed, the more we succeed. We value all of our clients, and our best case scenario is for you guys to grow and utilize business intelligence as best as possible. A little background about ourselves. We were started in 1998. Before the term business intelligence was really coined, we were doing a lot of reporting and dashboarding, and we've grown with the entire industry. We're located here in Dallas. We have satellite offices in Philadelphia, Vancouver, and Houston as well. We're very strong in business intelligence, particularly business objects from SAP, and we have our Instant Access BI. We provide a consultant at your fingertips without having to employ a consultant at full time to answer any questions you may have about your deployments or any kind of quirks that you might be running into. Our next webinar, May 21st, is actually going to be based on some of the most common questions that we get from our instant access area. We've gone through our archives, and we find a number of questions keep popping up, and we think that a good three-part series of just answering questions from there will be good. If you have any questions that you run into and you'd like them, send them over to us, and maybe they'll get into our top questions over the three parts. With that being said, let me turn it over to Andrew Kreider, who will be conducting today's demonstration.
Thank you, Trent. As Trent said, my name is Andrew Kreider. I'm one of the consultants here at WCI Consulting. I'm head of the Office of Innovation. And today what we're going to be showing you is visual intelligence, which is a fairly new product from SAP to help you visualize your data a little bit more. This is actually kind of on the same level as Webby. You can create a lot of the same visualizations that you can then share through PowerPoint or email or any of your other visualization needs or websites and that sort of thing. It has a lot of great dynamic visualizations, and we're going to go walk through some of them today. So when you open up Visual Intelligence, you see this screen right here. You can connect to a number of different sources. So if we click on New Document right here, what we're going to see is that we can see that we have a number of different options. CSV, freehand SQL, universes, both UNVs and UNXs, which means that it's compatible with both 3.x and 4.x. Also HANA, and then of course Excel. Today we're going to actually be showing this product with Excel. So it comes with a sample document that shows a lot of things. So you click on the item, right, and then if you're going to acquire, right, it gives you all these number of different options here, right. We can go ahead and hit acquire. After your typical things, we can do show the first row is column names, and we're going to show hidden rows and hidden columns, and we're going to bring in 32,000 rows. So we hit acquire. It runs our little job to bring the data in, and now you can see the data as it is. Now, this is actually to show the different lines of data, and for anybody familiar with e-fashion data, we see that we have categories, lines, the city that it was sold in, the state that it was sold in, quarter, year, and then three different measures on the side. Now, as it brought it in, it did not realize that, for instance, that margin, quantity sold, and sales revenue are measures. These are things that we're going to want to sum up. So what we can do is we can hover over margin in this case, and we can hit the little box, and we get a nice little dimension here. We'll go ahead and create a measure here, right? So now we see a measure here, and we can decide how we're going to aggregate it, right? This is going to be important when we show it in our visualizations. We're going to do the same thing for all three of these right here. Create a measure, and we're going to create a measure. Now you can see right here we have these three different measures. We also have those different attributes right here. Attributes can be anything from a string to something a little bit more specific. So for example, visual intelligence is smart enough to know that cities and states are often part of a hierarchy. So what we can do is we can then click on attributes here, click on city. We can create a geographic hierarchy by name. And so what it's recognizing cities that. However, a subregion is going to be our state, right? We're going to hit OK. It tells us that there's certain things that it doesn't know what exactly they are. We're going to hit OK. And so now, visual intelligence has created an entire hierarchy, everything from a city to a subregion, which is our state, to a total region and country right here as well. We have this extra city. Now we can also remove these columns very simply by right-clicking and deleting them. I'm going to click OK here. We can also determine how we want to sort it as well, right? We can filter it, right? So maybe I just want to show hats, gloves, and scarves. We'll go ahead and add that. You'll see that you only see hat, gloves, and scarves all the way down as it's loading the data up. Now, I can also remove it here as well. It provides a nice little breadcrumb, right? Now, I can also, for example, a year might be a good a time hierarchy. However, it's recognizing it as a string, so it's not able to do that. But what we're going to do is we can do an inferred attributes. These are the attributes that were created. We can also do 5 semantic elements detected. So we can show these elements, and it's going to say that these are all margins and these are all our geographic. If you notice, we don't have a time here. So what we can do is that we can actually create a dimension here, right? We can convert this to a date, and we're going to go ahead and choose one of our dimensions here. Let's go ahead and convert it to this right here. Okay. It's not a date, so we're not going to be able to do that. But what we can do is we can create a time hierarchy off of this as well, and we go ahead and create all of our different items here. So we're going to delete this because it's not very helpful. Now, once you also have these items, you can also do your manipulation table right here, right? So if we select an attribute right here, so for example, our sales revenue right here, it's going to give us all the values here. We either duplicate this column, we can rename this column, just revenue, right? Notice that this is now a new column. We can also create a new column, right? So if we want to reduce, give us a math number, or, for example, if we want to change all the lines here, we can find skirts and replace with bottoms. And so now we have all of our city bottoms here as well, which allows us to do a little bit different, characterizations for our views and our facets. We can also determine how we're going to group things as well. We can create all 5 of these and create a new group so that we can see our data at that point. Now, this is important because if you take Excel data in it, you have to do all of your data cleansing either in this screen or in the previous section. So now what we can do is we can go to facets, and this looks very much like to explore for those who might be familiar with that. And we can sort by this and kind of give our information there as well. Right now we're only doing occurrences, but we can do, say, our sum of revenue, right, or our quantity sold, or our sales revenue. It's going to sum up that along all of our different items. Now, once we also do that, what we can also do is we can create a formula. So I can say we can take the month of a date if we had that, or we can determine the margin there as well. If we go into the formula editor, it's going to give us a list of everything that we have right here, right? So I can go ahead and determine all of our date classifications and that sort of thing. I can also concatenate, right? So I can concatenate category and state, right? Okay. Go ahead and do quarter here. There we go. See that it pops up right there? All right. And then I can scroll over. And here's my concatenated quarter with state. And so this is now summing it up for each one of my quarters here as well, right? And we can see that it pops up in one of our attributes here, which means that we can then use it in our visualizations. Now there's 3 different ways to look at our visualizations. We can either do a split right here, which is going to show either our grid of data or our facets and our chart down here. And then I can create a number of different charts very easily. I'm going to pull sales revenue over into our y-axis here. I'm going to bring my concatenated down into my x-axis right here. And so now we see that everything is sorted by quarter and then by state. I could also determine a different legend city by pulling over my city right here. And so now it's broken down by state and then broken down by city as well. Now I can also show this as a pie chart, right? A donut chart, or a pie, or a chart like pie with variable depth, right? Which we're going to go ahead and change our measures to go include our margin as well. So now we have this great visualization right here that our pie depth is actually determined by the height of the margin, and the pie sector itself is actually determined by the sales revenue. So we can see kind of a relationship between that as well. I can also do an area chart here as well. And as you can see, you may want to add a number of different visualizations, different ways of looking at the data by just simply moving items around. I can also do a tree map, a heat map, a box plot chart, a waterfall chart. Your combination charts as well are here, a line chart with dual axes, right? So I can go ahead, so I've got margin there, so let's go ahead and bring sales revenue here as well, right? And then I can also show this as a combined chart right here, so that my margin's my bar chart as well. And one of the other great things I can do with this product, and we'll go ahead and remove these values right here, is we'll actually show it by geography. So we do a default chart here, right? And then we can determine how we want to do it. So we're going to show it by region. We can zoom out, right? Or I can do by sub-region, right? Or I can do it by state, right? Right. And we're going to pull our geography over here as well, right? And so then we're showing the overlay data by state as well, right here, which is what was picked up by our geography. So it's very important to have your data cleansed as much as possible. Now once you've done this, what we can also do is we can also save these visualizations, right? So let's go back to our pie chart here. Go ahead and remove this right here. So we're doing it by state. And let's change it to a variable size depth, and we'll do sales revenue as well, right? Now you can also do different settings. You can either show the data labels, right, or not. We'll talk about some of the other options that you can do here as well. And we're going to save this, and we can see that it's saved right here. When we go to share, we see that we have this visualization here. Now we can either export this data out to Explora, HANA, or Streamworks, right, or as a CSV out, so that once you do all of your slicing and dicing and creating your new measures here, you can export it out so that your team can deal with it in Excel. Or what you can also do is you can enlarge this visualization, right? And what I can actually do now is I'm actually going to send visualization by mail, right? And so I can bring up what size I want it. Let's bring a large up. And as you can see, it creates an Outlook message with my PNG right here. Now I can also save this file as, right, and save it somewhere locally and then distribute that as well. And so I have this document here as well. Now, if we go back to our prepare, right, we can also edit a source, we can add a source, we can also do a merge. For those who are familiar with web intelligence, what this is going to allow us to do is to create a number of different reports, a number of different data sources, and merge the common dimensions. That way we're able to compile multiple data sources into the same visualization to kind of give a bigger picture of our entire item. You can also edit the source, right? So if we didn't want lines in this case, or however you want to do that as well. Now if we go into preferences, this is going to give us a number of different options. You can change the standard view that pops up when you use any of these new universes. You can choose a different spectrum right here. You can also do how you want to depend on all the different items. HTML5 viewer, which means that you might be able to export these out to an iPad so that you can do it there, or to increase the speed of their visualization on your website. Since essentially you're creating PNG images, that means that anywhere that you can place an image, you can place these visualizations. How to handle data sets, how often you want to update the tool itself, whether you're using a proxy port, and what kind of freehand SQL you want to use, right? And what kind of drivers there as well. And one other thing that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and add another report. I'm going to bring in this geodata right here. Right? And you can see that there's a number of companies, countries, states, cities, sales, and revenue. I'm going to acquire this right here. And as we did before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the city here. I'm going to create a geographic hierarchy by names. City. My region is going to be state. My country is going to be country. Go ahead, OK. Right? Again, it has found some, it has not found some, so it's important to go back through and purge this data at a certain point and figure out what's happening and where the data needs to go. You can also do it by longitude and latitude, which is a more exact way of determining the exact placement within the map. So then you can see that it does fill in certain things. So the subregion right here is kind of a greater metropolitan area, right? If I go into visualization, I go into my maps. I pull in this to my geography. And I didn't create a measure, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take potential sales. I'm going to create a measure with that. I'm going to drop that here. And then we're also going to pull in company name right here. We're going to zoom in a little bit, migrate over, right? If I didn't want to look at my company name, maybe I want to look at it by state, because right now I have it broken down here. Or I can choose a region right here. And so now we have all of this right here. We see our legend here, and then our state. So let's go ahead and bring back in our company name here as well. I'll close this out, get rid of this. Right? And so then you can zoom in even further. You can see that I have a number of different components making up my California potential sales. And my healthcare in Texas is my largest percentage, 24% right here. And I can zoom in and out, and then I can save this as well. And when I go to share, like this, I can send visualization by mail, or I can export it out as a file, as a CSV or an Excel workbook, and allow my users to then use that data. More importantly, I can then export it out to Explorer, and then use Explorer to explore larger data sets. So that being said, that's the basics. The great thing about this product is that it's very simple to use, very easy to pick up and create very dynamic visualizations with a lot of different options that you can easily share with your business consumers. as well as your general public, just through simple PNG images, giving you all the data that you need for a quick visualization every day of what your current status is. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Trent to answer any possible questions.
Thank you, Andrew. Let me get up our final page here, and that way people can see if they have any questions specifically about this and they want to take offline, feel free to email either one of us, Andrew or myself. Also, just a reminder, next webinar is going to be on the most common questions that we find in business intelligence. Feel free to send those over to me if you have any questions that you think would be helpful for other people you may have run into a couple of times. That'll be on May 21st. And appreciate everyone for attending.